Hey wonderful people, I'm Anish, and welcome to another episode of Family Tales. Today's story starts with a wife asking her husband a hypothetical question about cheating and ends with him uncovering 4 months of lies, packing her bags himself, and leaving a note that turns her entire life upside down. Hypothetically, you're homeless. Let's get into it. I, 36, have been married to my wife for 8 years. Together for 11 total. We met at a friend's barbecue back when we were both young and dumb and thought love was enough. Spoiler, it's not. But I digress. 3 weeks ago, we were sitting on the couch watching some true crime documentary, one of those cheating spouse murder shows she loves so much. Ironic, looking back. During a commercial break, she muted the TV and turned to me with this expression I couldn't quite read. Hey, random question. Shoot. Hypothetically, if I cheated on you, would you forgive me? I didn't even have to think about it. No, she laughed, but it wasn't her real laugh. It was that nervous laugh she does when she's caught off guard, the same one she did when I found out she dented my truck and tried to blame it on a shopping cart. Just like that? No hesitation? Nope, cheating's a deal breaker, you know that. But what if it was just once, and I was really sorry? Still no. Why are you asking me this? She waved her hand dismissively. Just the show got me thinking. You know how these things go. Wondering what our boundaries are. Our boundaries are no cheating. Pretty straightforward. She unmuted the TV. Subject closed. Or so she thought. Here's the thing about being married to someone for almost a decade. You learn their tells. You know when they're lying about finishing the last of the ice cream. You know when they're pretending to like your mother's cooking. And you know when a hypothetical question isn't hypothetical at all. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation, the nervous laugh, the follow-up questions, the way she didn't quite meet my eyes. My gut was screaming that something was wrong. Around 2 a.m., she was dead asleep. She takes melatonin and sleeps like a rock. I did something I'd never done in 11 years together. I checked her phone. Her passcode hasn't changed since we started dating. 0814. Our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me. I found him in about 30 seconds. He was saved under Gym Buddy, even though my wife hasn't been to a gym since 2019. The messages went back 4 months. 4 months. I'm not going to repeat everything I read, because honestly some of it made me want to throw up. But here are the highlights. They'd been physical at least a dozen times. They met at her company's quarterly retreat in March. She told him our marriage was basically over and that I was emotionally unavailable. She'd been telling him she was planning to leave me once the timing was right. There were photos. I didn't look at all of them. Couldn't. The kicker? The most recent message, sent at 11:47 p.m. that night, while she was sitting next to me on the couch, was her telling him about our hypothetical conversation. Her text. Asked him the hypothetical question, lol. He said no. Guess I know where I stand now. His response, maybe that's your sign to finally leave him, babe. Her, soon. Just need to figure out the house situation first. I sat in our bathroom for an hour reading through 4 months of lies. My hands were shaking, not from anger, that came later. From the surreal feeling of watching your entire life rearrange itself in real time. When I finally put her phone back and climbed into bed, she rolled over and mumbled, "Love you," in her sleep. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise. The next morning, I called in sick to work. She left for her job at 8:30, kissed my forehead, told me she hoped I felt better. Normal morning routine, like she hadn't been planning to leave me for months. Once her car was out of the driveway, I got to work. First things first. I needed to understand my legal situation. Our house is in both our names, but I put down the entire down payment, $65,000 from my inheritance when my grandmother passed. We've been paying the mortgage jointly for 6 years, but she's never contributed more than 30% of household expenses. I make roughly twice what she does. I called a divorce attorney. Consultation that afternoon. He was blunt. In our state, adultery doesn't affect asset division much. The house would likely be sold and split, or one of us buys out the other. Her affair wouldn't change that. Welcome to no-fault divorce states. But here's what he did tell me. Document everything. Screenshots. Timestamps. Because while adultery doesn't affect asset division, it can affect credibility if things get contentious. I screenshot every single message, every photo, every lying word, backed them up to 3 different cloud accounts and a USB drive I hid at my brother's place. Then I started packing her bags. Not all of her stuff. That would take days. But enough. Clothes for 2 weeks, toiletries, the expensive skincare products she loves, her laptop. I was methodical, calm. It was almost therapeutic. I put everything in our guest room. Then I wrote a note and left it on the kitchen counter. Hypothetically, if you've been cheating on me for 4 months with someone saved as Gym Buddy in your phone, you might want to call him for a place to stay tonight. Because hypothetically, you're homeless. Your bags are in the guest room. I'll be at my brother's until you're gone. Sincerely, your emotionally unavailable husband. I grabbed my laptop, some clothes, and drove to my brother's house. My phone started blowing up around 6:15 p.m. First text, "What the hell is this note?" Second text, "You went through my phone?" Third text, "This is insane, we need to talk." Fourth text, "You can't just kick me out of my own house." Fifth text, "Call me." I didn't respond. I'd already talked to my lawyer. She was right, I couldn't technically kick her out, but I also didn't have to be there, and she could spend the night figuring out her next move. My brother handed me a beer and didn't ask questions. Good man. Update 1. 4 days later. Alright, let me catch everyone up, because this situation has escalated in ways I didn't fully anticipate. After my initial post, I got a lot of DMs asking for updates. Thanks for the support. It helps more than you know. So here's what happened. I stayed at my brother's place for 2 nights. During that time, my wife called me 23 times. I answered once, on the second night, because she threatened to call the police and report me missing. I'm not missing. I'm at my brother's. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I saw the messages, all of them. It's not what you think. You told him our marriage was basically over. You sent him photos. You've been sleeping with him for months. What exactly am I misunderstanding? Silence. Then, I made a mistake. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk. You made a choice. For 4 months. Can you please just come home so we can discuss this like adults? I'll come home when you're ready to move out. My lawyer will be in touch. She started crying. I hung up. The next day, I went home while she was at work. Changed the locks on the garage door, the one with the keypad she uses. She still had her house key, so she could get in the front door, but she'd figure out pretty quick that things were changing. Was it petty? Yeah. Did it feel good? Also, yeah. That evening, the real circus began. Her mother called me. This woman has never liked me, always thought her daughter settled by marrying a project manager instead of a doctor or lawyer. Now she was calling to lecture me about marriage. You can't just abandon your wife over one mistake. With all due respect, this doesn't involve you. She's my daughter. Of course it involves me. She told me everything. She said you went through her phone like some kind of stalker. She's been cheating on me for 4 months. Because you neglected her. She told me you're never emotionally available, never romantic anymore. What did you expect? I actually laughed at that one. I expected her not to sleep with someone else. Crazy, right? You're being unreasonable. Marriage takes work. You don't just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm letting go of someone who already checked out months ago. Have a good night. Hung up, blocked her number. The next morning, my wife tried a different approach. She showed up at my office, just walked right into the building and asked the receptionist to page me. My coworker gave me a heads up before I walked into the lobby. Found her standing there with coffee and a pastry bag from my favorite bakery. Please. 15 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We went to the courtyard outside my building. I ended it with him, she said immediately. It's over. I blocked his number, deleted everything. Good for you. I mean it. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But 8 years, you're really going to throw that away? I didn't throw anything away. You did. It was a mistake. You keep calling it that. 4 months isn't a mistake. It's a lifestyle choice. I was confused. Our marriage felt stale. I didn't know how to talk to you about it. So instead of talking to your husband, you talked to some guy from a work retreat, with your clothes off. She flinched. That's not fair. None of this is fair. You asked me a hypothetical question while you were actively cheating on me. You wanted to know if I'd forgive you so you could gauge whether to confess or keep lying. That's not. Your text said, "Guess I know where I stand now," with a laughing emoji. You weren't asking out of guilt. You were asking out of strategy. She didn't have an answer for that. My lawyer will be sending you papers. I suggest you get one too. I left her sitting there with the coffee and the pastries. Didn't look back. That night, I found out she'd told her entire friend group that I was controlling and emotionally abusive, and that's why she sought comfort elsewhere. The narrative was already spinning. Her best friend texted me, "Can't believe you're doing this to her. She told us everything. You should be ashamed." I responded with a single screenshot of a text exchange where my wife described in detail what she and her gym buddy had done in a hotel room during her work trip. The best friend didn't respond after that. Funny how that works. Update 2 weeks later. Things have gotten messier, but also clearer, if that makes sense. After my wife's failed office ambush, she switched tactics. Went full victim mode. Started telling everyone who would listen that I was mentally abusive, that I controlled all the finances, I don't, that I isolated her from friends, I didn't, and that her affair was a trauma response to years of emotional neglect. Her mother amplified this on social media, vague posts about believing women and recognizing abuse when you see it. Never named me directly, but anyone who knows our situation knew exactly who she was talking about. My own mother called me furious, not at me, at them. That woman is going around telling people you're abusive? After what she did, I'm about to drive over there and, "Mom, please don't. This is gonna get handled legally. I just don't understand how she can lie like this." Because it's easier than admitting she's the bad guy. The legal stuff started moving. We filed for divorce. I filed first, which my lawyer said was important for optics and procedural reasons. My wife was served at work. According to a mutual acquaintance, she caused a scene in the parking lot, crying and screaming at the process server. Then came the financial discovery phase. This is where it got interesting. My lawyer requested full financial disclosure. Standard stuff. My wife's lawyer complied, and we found something unexpected. She'd been moving money. Not a lot. We keep separate accounts for personal spending. But over the past 4 months, she'd transferred about $8,500 from her personal account to a new account I didn't know existed. An account that, according to the transaction history, had been used for hotel rooms, expensive dinners, and a weekend trip to a casino resort. All while telling me she was visiting her sister and going to work conferences. My lawyer's exact words, "This helps us significantly." The house situation was trickier. Like I mentioned, it's in both our names. I put down the down payment, but the mortgage payments have been joint. My lawyer advised that the cleanest solution was for me to buy her out. We got an appraisal. The house had appreciated nicely. Her equity share would be around $85,000. $85,000 to someone who spent 4 months betraying me while planning to leave me when the timing was right. But here's the thing. Paying her out meant she'd leave faster. And at this point, I just wanted her gone. We made an offer. She countered. Back and forth for a week. Finally settled on $92,000. She wanted pain and suffering compensation on top of equity. My lawyer advised me to take it rather than drag things out in court. I swallowed my pride and agreed. But I wasn't done yet. See, throughout this whole process, my wife kept insisting she'd ended things with her affair partner. Blocked him, deleted everything, reformed woman. I didn't believe her. I still had access to our shared cell phone account, the one I pay for, the one I could see call and text logs on without accessing her actual phone. Guess whose number showed up 3 times in the past week? She hadn't ended anything. She'd just gotten better at hiding it. I forwarded the phone logs to my lawyer. Documented proof that she was still in contact with him while simultaneously trying to negotiate a higher settlement by claiming she was committed to rebuilding trust. Her lawyer got an interesting email. 2 days later, she dropped her demand for additional compensation. Settlement finalized at $85,000, her actual equity share. No more, no less. Small victory, but I'll take it. Final update 6 weeks later. It's done. The divorce was finalized last Tuesday. Took about 5 weeks from filing to final decree, which my lawyer said was remarkably fast. Helped that we had no kids, and once the financial stuff was settled, there wasn't much to fight about. Final outcome, I keep the house, refinanced in my name only. She got her $85,000 equity payout. We split our retirement accounts 50-50. I lost about $40,000 there, which stings. She keeps her car, I keep mine. No alimony. Her lawyer tried for it, arguing that she'd become accustomed to a certain lifestyle. Judge wasn't having it, given her income and the short duration until adultery was discovered. The day she came to pick up the rest of her things was surreal. I had my brother there as a witness, lawyer's advice. She showed up with her mother and a U-Haul. Her mother glared at me the entire time. Didn't say a word. Fine by me. My wife, ex-wife now, tried one more time as they were loading the last boxes. I hope you know I really am sorry for all of it. Okay. I never meant for any of this to happen. And yet it did. Maybe someday we can, I don't know, be friends, or at least not hate each other. I don't hate you, I just don't trust you, and I don't want you in my life. She looked like she wanted to say more. Her mother grabbed her arm and steered her toward the U-Haul. They drove away. I stood in my driveway and felt nothing. Not relief, not sadness, not anger, just emptiness. 11 years, and it ended with a U-Haul in the driveway on a Tuesday afternoon. The aftermath has been weird. I lost some mutual friends, the ones who bought her abuse narrative. Kept the ones who knew better. My family has been incredible, my brother especially. He let me crash at his place for a week, helped me change the locks, sat with me while I ugly cried into a bottle of whiskey one night when it all hit me. I found out through the grapevine what happened with the affair partner. Turns out he's married too. Has been for 12 years. 2 kids. His wife found out about the affair roughly 2 weeks after I did. Apparently my wife wasn't the only woman he was coaching at the gym. Yeah. My wife wasn't even his only affair. She was one of 3. His wife filed for divorce. He's apparently living in an extended stay hotel and paying child support plus alimony while his now ex-wife keeps their house. As for my ex, last I heard, she's living in a small apartment with her mother. The $85,000 went faster than she expected. First and last month's rent, a new car after her old one died, credit card debt she'd apparently been hiding. She's already asking her friends for money, according to the same grapevine. The gym buddy, who was supposedly going to leave his wife for her? He stopped responding to her texts after his divorce went through. Shocker. Someone once told me that cheaters don't think ahead. They live in the fantasy of the affair, the excitement, the secrecy, the validation. They don't consider what happens when the fantasy crashes into reality. My ex found out the hard way. I'm not going to pretend I'm thriving. Some days are harder than others. I still reach for her side of the bed sometimes before I remember. I still almost text her when something funny happens at work. 11 years of habit doesn't disappear overnight, but I'm okay. I'm figuring out who I am without her, which is something I haven't done since my 20s. The house feels too big for one person, but I'm not ready to sell it yet. Maybe I'll get a dog. Maybe I'll rent out the spare room. Haven't decided. What I do know is this. That night she asked me the hypothetical question. I gave her an honest answer. I told her cheating was a deal breaker. She had every opportunity to come clean, to end the affair, to actually work on our marriage. She chose not to. And now she gets to live with that choice. Hypothetically, I could have forgiven her. Hypothetically, we could have gone to counseling, worked through it, emerged stronger. But hypothetically doesn't mean anything when someone's already decided to leave you. She wasn't asking for permission to confess. She was testing whether she'd get caught. She got caught, and now she's someone else's problem.